So I am with Lisel Crowley today, and she is going to discuss her upcoming workshop with us about fused glass and precious metal clay. So, Lisel, how did you first get started with precious metal clay?
Well, I was a potter for many years and I loved working with clay. And then some things happened to my body. I had some abdominal hernia issues and I fractured my right shoulder, so I could no longer work with clay. So I started metal smithing and I enjoyed it, but it didn't quite feed my love for clay. And around 2005, I discovered precious metal clay, and it was just the perfect medium for me because it satisfied my need to work with clay. I love the organic nature of it, but it also helped me end up with beautiful finished sterling silver or fine silver pieces, which I've always loved silver. I've always loved jewelry, so it was a match made in heaven.
And how about the fused glass? When did you first start doing that?
I did the fused glass actually right around the same time. I actually took a little short shop here at Wesleyan Potters with Cheryl Tuttle. She did a fantastic job to get me started. And then I just decided to dive right in, and I bought a bunch of glass and I just started experimenting on my own. And then I started combining the glass with the metal clay, and that I really enjoy because you can fire them together, so you can make very sculptural pieces of metal to surround the glass, and the pieces look very integrated. So I really enjoy working with the two mediums together.
Why don't you show us one of those pieces that you've made with the fused glass inside the precious metal clay?
Well, here's a one that has a kind of a sculptural setting, and you can see that here's a piece of fused glass, and I work a lot with dichroic glass when I make fused glass. Dichroic glass means two colors, and it gives it that inner sparkle. A lot of fused glass artists don't use dichroic, but I like that sparkly look. But you can see I've created a textured background and then a very sculptural kind of setting for the glass, and this is one of the projects I'll be showing in the workshop.
Great. So what do you like about precious metal clay?
Well, as I already stated, it's very organic. It is a clay, so you can do a lot of things with it. You can texture it, you can carve into it, you can sculpt it, you can press it into molds. So it behaves like clay, but then after firing, it's pure silver. Or in the case of copper and bronze clay, copper or bronze. There are a variety of metals now that metal clay comes in. I work only with silver. You can do so many different things with it. My ring is made with metal clay. My bracelet is made with metal clay. My earrings are made with, everything I wear is made with metal clay. So it's whatever your style is. If you like industrial, if you like arts and crafts, if you like Art Nouveau, if you like very textured organic pieces or very smooth and highly refined pieces, it can be achieved with metal clay. And it can be achieved in a lot less time than with metal smithing.
So I know you said you like the two colors in the glass, and you like that it works with your precious metal clay because you can fire them together. What else do you like about working with glass?
Well, I love melting things, and I love the surprise of opening the kiln and seeing what happens. When you combine several pieces of glass and fire them in the kiln and they all melt together, a certain magic happens and you end up with these beautiful, gorgeous, sparkling pieces. I just brought a few small pieces to show you a little bit about what I'm creating. Fused glass, you can create huge items with fused glass, but I work on the small scale because what I work with is to make jewelry. But you can make bowls, you can make sinks, you can make a lot of things with fused glass. But these cabochons rely on, some of these have 4 or 5 layers before they go in the kiln. And they all melt together and bond and create this sparkling jewel. And very often when I'm selling my jewelry, people will pick up a piece of my fused glass and say, is that druzy or is that opal? And I explain to them that it's fused glass, but I'm very glad that they think it's druzy or opal because that's sort of the look I'm going for. For instance, here's a piece that would look like an opal or a moonstone. And again, that was four layers before going in the kiln. Here's a piece that would look more like a druzy. And this is another of the projects I'll be showing in the class. It's how to use a very minimal amount of metal clay to set a larger piece of fused glass.
So tell us more about what students are going to be learning in the workshop that's coming up on the first weekend in March.
Well, we're going to start with a basic fused glass class. So that will be a little bit of technical information, but not much. And mostly we're going to dive right in and make some pieces. I want the students to have their own glass pieces to set later on in the workshop. A fused glass firing takes about 2 hours. So while they are, we'll make some fused glass pieces, we'll get them in the kiln, and as they're firing, I'll start explaining how to work with metal clay. And for people who may not have any metal clay experience, it'd be good to have some of that kind of basic information. And then once the pieces are fired, we'll start setting them in metal clay. And we'll do 3 or 4 projects at least over the course of the workshop, because there's so many different ways to work with glass and metal clay. I want to make sure I give people a nice rounded experience.
And I do believe the seminar is 2 days, right? The workshop?
2 days, yes.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, anything else you want to tell the students about your seminar coming up?
Just that it's going to be a lot of fun. And I do provide tools, so if you don't have tools, you don't feel like you have to invest in them. I bring tools for my students to use, and then I have them available for sale at the end of the workshop if anybody wants to. But don't worry about bringing tools. I will have everything you would need.
That's great. Thanks very much. We'll look forward to your workshop.
All right. Thank you, Mary Ruth.